Question. So how did that meatloaf come out? Back in a second. Hi, this is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. You know what I love best about the recipe that I'm going to get into now? In case you missed it, this morning I uploaded on my 5 o'clock Let's Save Money show, 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern, every day, Monday through Friday. Today I decided instead of doing a usual Money Monday, I said, you know what? I made this recipe in actuality yesterday, which was Sunday. I said, I have to show you this. I just absolutely had to show you this. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to this morning's upload, but I'll give you a brief overview. For anyone who wants to save time, effort, energy, sanity, money, and cleanup, what did I do? I took the method of, you've heard of dump cakes before. I know it doesn't sound pretty, this word dump. You think of like garbage dump, right? Okay. So, but it's just a term, it's just an expression of utilizing the idea of putting something in one place. Okay, and quickly at that. Let me tell you. So think about of if you have ever made a dump cake by which you put all the ingredients that are needed for that cake, for example, into a baking pan. There is no mixing bowl. There is no additional mess. You do it in one place, and it does save time, effort, energy, and even could save you some money too. How? On cleanup. Every time you're squishing all that extra suds into your dish liquid and all that, with all the extra pots and pans and the effort, it's just not worth it if you're accomplishing the same goal. So I said to myself, why can't I utilize the same concept except making it in the form of a meatloaf? Now, in this morning's recipe, in the description box, I give the entire recipe, how to do it. It is so easy. Some of you might be figuring out, gee, well, what am I going to make with that uh, ground meat that I have available in my refrigerator tonight? Let me tell you, just by changing something up a little bit, a method or one ingredient. And in this case, I did two things. I changed up my method. Normally, when I prepare a meatloaf, I would need an extra mixing bowl. I would need extra stirring spoons. I'll tell you exactly what I did. So I had this brainstorm. While I was preheating my oven at 350 degrees, I took my ground, already defrosted up ground beef. I always use the 90%, just for the record. So what I did was I took my loaf pan, a regular loaf pan, like of which you would make a loaf cake, for example. Took my loaf pan and I sprayed it with nonstick. Meantime, the oven is preheating at 350. Into that pan, I simply opened up my ground beef package. I put it inside of the loaf pan. Then I says, you know what? I want 2 eggs in this recipe. Inside the same pan, in the pan on top of the meat, I broke open the eggs, 2 eggs entered. Didn't do anything yet. I didn't beat them yet. I'm just going to be honest how I did it, my method. Then I entered, a little seasoning like salt and pepper, okay, a little bit of garlic powder, and I put in about 1 cup of flavored breadcrumbs. I like the flavored ones. They offer a little bit of what? Flavor, right? Then I did something completely differently. Normally, what I would do is take maybe a small can of tomato sauce, okay? Or another thing, or a different kind of sauce. It all depends on my mood. Or I would douse in there some ketchup, okay? Ketchup is okay. I like the caramelization part, but I don't like the vinegar against meat taste. Everybody is different. Some people like it, and yet I enjoy it on a hamburger, but I'm not too much of a fan of it in meatloaf. Just saying, but that's me. And everybody's taste is different. Now, mind you, it's all still in this loaf pan. So then what I did, I opened up instead a can of Campbell's condensed tomato soup. Did I add anything else to that soup? No. I put the whole can in just as such, okay? Then you're probably saying, well, that must be very hard to stir. Not for me, it wasn't, because I put on my clean, my plastic gloves, the one that like you use when you're preparing food type of gloves. So I put on my gloves and I used the best tools in the world. This is why I'm mentioning this to you right now, because I didn't get an opportunity to mention it on the visual video. So I took my two hands inside that pan. Mind you, no mixing bowl, no other place, no other mess. And within that pan, I just mushed it up together. I know that's a great terminology, right? Mush. So I mixed it up together manually with my hand. Some of you are probably saying, oh, but don't worry. I had on my plastic gloves, so it didn't matter. So you might feel a little bit of a squish. Hey, listen, I was a kid again for a couple of minutes. Now, I mixed it together as much as I could, but not too much. Why? Because if you mix together meat, even meat, believe it or not, if you overly mix meat, guess what? It's going to come out tough. I know it sounds crazy. And don't forget too that I had the flavored breadcrumbs in there. And if you overly mix up bread products way too long, guess what? Glutens are released, and then that also loans it into a tough texture. So I just thought I'd get in depth about this for a minute. All right, so that's the mechanics of the meatloaf. Remove the gloves, trash them. All I did was pop that one pot meatloaf in my oven, preheated, 350, and for 40 minutes. 40 minutes for me in my oven was absolutely perfect. I need to take a sip of my. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Oh, yeah. There you go. I'm recording this in the morning, recording this on Monday morning. But I said I have to follow up on it. Now, flavor. So, oh, wait. Before I forget, this is important. Go back to the ingredients part. I did enter to give it more of like a little bit of an oven fried taste, 1 capful of vegetable oil. This is important. Okay. This is important. It gives it like sort of like a little bit of a fryness to it. Okay. So I put that in there along with the mixing and all that. Not overly mixing, mix enough, well enough. You know when to stop mixing and mushing it. Okay. So then I put it in the oven at 350 for 40 minutes. That was it. No big deal. Do you realize all the time you save and effort and energy doing that? A one pot thing like that? In addition to that, let me just offer another suggestion. I wasn't in the mood of vegetables because I happened to have had a garden salad like a half hour before, so I didn't need another side for last night. So what I did was I just had, cut me up a slice of the meatloaf, and that was good enough for me. But since we're using the oven anyway, who's to stop you from, let's say, about 20 minutes into it? Get your cooking sheet, throw on some French fries, use a little nonstick, put them on a baking sheet, or better still, roast up some like broccoli, roast up some what other vegetable that you like, cauliflower, whatever it is that you like. Drizzle a little olive oil on it, put some flavoring, throw it in your oven, and let it bake along with the meatloaf for the remainder of the time in the oven. You don't have, see, dinner doesn't have to be a hassle. I think people make too much fuss over something so silly. All right, so now we're fast forwarding it to Monday morning. Now, mind you, Monday morning. What person feels like eating leftover meatloaf the next day for breakfast? I did. Just keeping it real here. So I cut another, this is why I like meatloaf. You could cut it in slices. So I cut a slice of it and I heated it up for a few minutes. For what, 3 minutes? I heated it up. I didn't feel like eggs. I didn't want toast. I wanted protein. I wanted different protein than eggs. Let me tell you. So this, you get so much bang for your buck in so many ways. So, okay, the bottom line of this audio video is this. In life, in a recipe, for example, change it up. What did I do? I changed the method. And I am hopeful that somebody's going to come to me with a comment and said, I tried this and I liked it. I'm never going to go back to the old fashioned way of doing it the hard way of getting a big mess all over the place. Why should I do that? That's number one. Number two, I will absolutely do it again with the tomato soup. The tomato soup gave it a little bit of a, not like, oh, like you're tasting sugar. No, all I tasted was nice, mild tomato, and it was not acidic. Because when you throw in just a little can of tomato sauce, to me, that's too acidic. And I didn't have that vinegary against meat taste. So for Jan from New York City Saves Money, this meatloaf method and flavor was a hit. And never forget that tomato soup is a bargain in and of itself because it is jam-packed with wonderful, nutritious vitamins. There you go. Just thought I'd recap. Will I do it again? Henceforth, I'm going to do it again all the time. In the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City. Thanks for listening. Hey, let me know what you think. Have you ever done anything differently with your method of cooking? Anything? Or adding an ingredient that changed the whole complexity of it? Let us all know in the comment section below. And I'll be right back in a minute with my outro, wherever that is. Here we go. Have an amazing, fantastic night. Take good care. Bye.